So just going back real quickly to what we were talking about earlier, so you didn't enter it in any screenplay competitions, but did you try to take it up the Hollywood food chain with an agent or a manager?
No. I know that Melissa sent the script out, right before production or maybe pre-production, just to sort of, see what the feedback was, and we had various, kind of comments about the script, and I was able to weigh what comments kind of helped us and what didn't, I think, again, going back to what we talked about earlier about being a realistic kind of roadmap for this, trip that we would be taking, it was really about that, because a lot of people came back with notes like, well, that thing should really be happening on page, 12, not 7, and that thing really doesn't make sense. And I think a lot of the comments like that are well-meaning, because I've written for many, many years, and I think I understand all that stuff. But, the conversation that I had with Melissa that we had to really negotiate was, this project is really about a certain, location, a certain budget, a certain kind of vision in terms of scheduling, and so we really had to be wise about what feedback we wanted to take and what feedback we wanted to dismiss. So we didn't take it up the Hollywood food chain, so to speak, because they just, probably wouldn't be interested, because there are no car chases and there's no kind of, there's no aliens or anything like that, It was really kind of a very personal thing that we wanted to embark on.
Okay. Did you implement any changes into the script, though? When they said, this is confusing here, or maybe they didn't say that, did the two of you go back and say, well, if we're getting feedback from an outside source, maybe we're so close to it?
Absolutely. I mean, I think that, we, Melissa and I, worked on outlining this story from the very beginning. We were really trying to talk about the characters, talk about the relationship, talk about, the plots, the narrative, and all that stuff, and themes and everything. And then once we had a pretty fair idea of what story we wanted to tell, I went away and wrote the script, because I was going to end up directing it, and I felt that it was really important for me to be intimately involved with the nuts and bolts of it, And then once we got people kind of looking at the script, we absolutely, took in advice and comments about it. If that button is not funny enough or doesn't work, or that is an extra scene that you really, really don't need, we absolutely did that, And also even, like all films, you essentially rewrite the script in editing. You're writing your final draft in editing, and we had an amazing editor on board who's really, works on bigger budget movies, but he liked the story, he believed in it. And so, me, Melissa, and Derek, the three of us during editing, really kind of tried to reshape, the story in some ways to match what we wanted to do, because there were still scenes that we ended up not getting to, even with the intention of shooting a short script, we still missed scenes.
Why? Sorry to interrupt, but why?
Well, because of budget, because of time, because of schedule. It's an ensemble film, so you're working with a schedule of so many different people. And then there's the budget part of it, which is like, we're running out of time. That's going to take an extra day. So that put us in, I mean, it wasn't a horrible situation. I think the movie became better. But I do think that, all the feedback that you take, you have to take it from the very beginning all the way to the end. Even in editing, we went through, I don't know, it must have been 3-4 different cuts before we arrived at the final cut. And throughout the process, we had a very private, kind of a screening for about 10 people on the big screen, where we invited people to come and watch the movie. And we got, we did a kind of a Q&A feedback. We gave them questionnaires, and we said, what part of the movie did you enjoy? And what do you think about when you're done watching this movie? And those questions and the answers to those questions really helped us, gauge, how far off we were about our movie.
Going back to what you said earlier, the best solution or best answer usually wins, in your opinion, something like that. Do you think a lot of people are that open?
I mean, no, I don't think so. And I think even in some ways, I missed a mark, you know, because I do think that I think art, you have to have an ego in your story, you know. I don't think the ego should get in the way, but I do think that you have to have an idea of what your personal conviction is, you know, what your vision is. So I think being mindful of it is I think healthier than a lot of people are, you know. I mean, I like to believe that I can always take a good note, you know. It doesn't always happen, and I think that's true for everyone who's working in this industry. You know, you have to walk that line of what do you personally feel like is right and what the feedback is from different people, you know. So it's a tough thing to kind of negotiate, you know. I think the context. I think you have to look at that in the context of where the person is, you know, where the person's coming from, you know. I'm coming from another project that's very similar, so I have a certain perspective, and someone else is coming from something else. And so you have to measure all of that, you know.
Yeah, and have a filter in terms of like what is actually constructive criticism and what is someone just BSing me and what is somebody trying to squash me.
Right.
And it's a tough thing because I think in LA or anything creative, there's all those coming at you.
Right.
So, and I think anybody who does something creative has a fairly strong ego, but then you can't be a mouse either. You can't just be like, oh, really? Okay, let me change that for you. You know, I mean, you have to fight back a little bit.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.